Welcome to part 2 of how to upgrade your computer's memory the right way. In part 1, we covered some memory basics. We explained how to find the right kind of memory for your computer. In this section, we're going to actually install memory in a desktop and a laptop. Okay, now for some safety tips which I guarantee will save you the cost of this video. If you're concerned about getting zapped when you put your hands in your computer, I can tell you that as someone with over 20 years experience in this field, that it's more likely that you do electrical damage to your computer than your computer does electrical damage to you. The power supply in your computer is called a step-down transformer. And what it does, it takes the cable out of your wall, which is dangerous, about AC 110 volts, and converts it to direct current, which is like 5 to 12 volts, and connects it to your motherboard with voltages that are really not that much more than a portable radio. I don't know if you remember those or not. Have you ever walked across the floor with your socks on and then touched the doorknob and all of a sudden, bzz, you get that little static electricity? Okay, that little static electricity, that little tiny amount of voltage is enough to destroy the internal parts of your computer. That's how sensitive the internals of your computer are. So the common practice in a computer shop when you're working on a computer is to get one of these little anti-static wristbands and stand on a rubber mat. At least that used to be what it was. In recent times, it's just not really that much of a concern, but you can still do it if you want to. Okay, now one thing you do need to be careful of is when you carry your memory around, you want to pick it up like this. You want to hold it like this, like this, like this. You don't want to shuffle across the floor in your wool socks holding the memory like this, by the teeth. That's almost sure to get it zapped. So it's a very simple thing. Hold it like this, you won't get it zapped. When you get up to your computer, what you can do is you take the case off, you set it down, you touch the bare metal of the case, and that will typically discharge all the electricity in your body into the case. Done. And whenever you move around, come back to the case, do the same. Tap the case a couple times, it will discharge all the electricity out of your body into the case, and you're done. No danger of zapping your motherboard or your internal components. Now, another thing I want to bring up may sound silly, but I bring this up from personal experience. I mean, when you're working on the car, you want to sit there, you want to put your sandwich on the radiator, and you want to put your beer over here, and then eat and go to town, work. You don't want to work with computers that way. When you're working on computers, you keep the food and the drinks across the room. You're hungry, you walk across the room, take a bite, come back to the system. That may sound silly, but it's not going to sound funny when you're in the middle of working on your computer and all of a sudden, oops, you just spilled half a soda can inside your computer and it's done. Okay, so now in the next section, we're going to actually replace memory in a desktop and then a laptop. Okay, so we have a volunteer for our Upgrade Your Computer Memory video. So basically, the first thing you want to do, of course, is get inside the case. Hopefully you don't have to use screws. Hopefully you're using one of these computers that has a nice little handle on it. Open it up. So what I was talking about earlier with discharging the static electricity from your body was basically, if you're walking around the floor and you're picking up static electricity, you want to simply touch the case. Tap the case here, tap it here, somewhere on the metal. And that will discharge the static electricity from your body into the case. The internal components are insulated with rubber or cardboard, so the little shock that you give these parts here won't affect the internal components. When you first look at your computer's memory slots, you're going to probably see some numbers which are kind of confusing at first. If you look at it closely, you'll see that the white slots are marked 1 and 2, and the black slots are marked 3 and 4. What these are called are banks, which means in this case you have 4 slots separated into 2 banks. That means each bank is kind of a virtual slot. To get the most from this kind of a configuration, you want to use the exact size memory in all the slots. Some motherboard manufacturers will tell you to fill the white slots first. Now this computer has 4 slots separated into 2 banks. We've got slot 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the white ones are 1 and 2, which is bank 1, and the black ones are 3 and 4, which is bank 2. Now in this demonstration, I'm really not upgrading my memory. This computer is basically maxed out as far as memory goes, but I'm just going to use it to demonstrate how to remove and replace a stick of memory. It's very simple. You basically push gently on these little clips and they come off, and now the memory can be removed. So you want to just take it out like that. So you got your little notch right there. You want to take that notch and match it up with the notch in the slot. I know you probably can't see that right now, but basically when you're replacing your memory, it's a two-handed operation. You want to put it in here like this, line it up, push it down with both hands, even pressure on both ends. You got to click on that end, you got to click on that end, and that's how simple it is to replace memory in your computer. Okay, now the first thing you want to do before changing the memory in your laptop, of course, is to make sure it's powered down. You do not want to remove your memory while the computer is powered on. And the best way to make sure is to go in, start, shut down. Sometimes these buttons can be misleading. Sometimes you hit this button and it'll go into sleep mode and it'll look like it's off when it's not off. It's still powered on. The system's still running. You go in there and start changing memory when the system is in sleep mode, you're going to do serious damage to your laptop. So this system is shut down. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a nice soft surface to put your laptop on, just to make sure that you don't scrape up the top. Okay, now different laptops are different. Some are easy to get open, some are not. Sometimes you're going to see a little panel, and underneath that panel is where your memory is, and there's going to be tiny little screws. You're going to have to get one of these tiny little screwdrivers to go in there and open up all those screws. You want to take those screws and you want to be very careful where you place them. Place them in a bottle cap, place them off to the corner, put them somewhere where you know you'll be able to find them later. Now this particular laptop is a breeze to get open. The memory is right here. Before I start going into this laptop, I want to make something very clear. When you have a laptop open, you want to be very careful because there's all these tiny little wires and thin little ribbon cables, which if you slip or you touch wrong or you just breathe on them wrong, they can snap, they can break. You want to be real careful about that. But in this case, it's an easy thing because we're really just focused on the memory. Okay, now I apologize for the shakiness of this video, but it's really the only way I can get the camera close enough to where you can see everything is if I hold it with my hand. So basically this is going to be a real quick operation here. Like I said, you want to be careful of everything that's in here. These are your memory sticks. You got one here and you got one underneath it over here. I'm going to just remove one of them because it's basically the same thing. So basically what it is you have these tiny little tabs and you just push them out like this, just so they come out like that. And then the memory simply pops up, and then you can slide it out. Okay, now to get it back in, it's just a reverse operation. You get those little teeth, you see those little teeth, you see that little notch there? You get that notch matched up with the notch on the inside. This is really hard to do with one eye. Lined up there, it's kind of like at an angle, see that? So once you have it lined up and you have it in there, you basically just push down on it a little bit and pop it in. Now I'm going to show you one more time. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to show you this from another angle. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're taking your finger and you're pushing it down like that. It snaps in, and that's it. Your memory is now installed. Okay, one final thing about making sure your laptop is powered down before upgrading your memory. If you want to make sure your laptop is powered off, simply pop out the battery. If the battery is out and the adapter is not plugged in, your laptop is off. Okay, now to get the battery out, you want to go in the back and you'll see a little slider switch or like a little lock icon. Simply push that off to the side. You'll see the battery move or pop a little bit. Just take it out and your laptop is off. Okay, well, that's basically it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, give me a like and a subscribe below, and you'll be able to keep up with future videos. Thanks.